Did you think that bringing in Deebo Samuel was the end? You're crazy. Because I'm telling you this, what's happening in Ashburn right now is going to completely change how we see this team. We've got a linebacker ready to break out, our running. Back revealing devastating secrets about the Chargers, Brock Purdy warning about the mindset of our new star receiver, and a trade proposal that's driving fans mad. If you think you know everything about this team, get ready because these 4 news stories are going to change your perspective forever. Look, I know many of you don't even know who Dominique Hampton is, but that's about to change dramatically. This second-year linebacker is preparing to make the leap we all expected since we picked him in the 5th round of the 2024 draft. And you know what's the craziest part? Hampton went from being a safety at Washington University to a linebacker with the Commanders, and now he's finally mastering that transition in a way that has the entire coaching staff excited to help you understand the magnitude of this change. Let me explain exactly who Hampton was in college. At Washington University, this guy was literally the most utilized player in Huskies history as a safety. Do you realize what that means? We're not talking about an average player. We're talking about someone who completely dominated his position at the college level. Zach Selby's report tells us Hampton practically saw no action in his rookie season, and I understand why some fans were worried. He was inactive most of the year, and when he played, it was only on special teams. He played in just 1 game the whole season. For a fan, seeing a 5th round pick be nearly invisible can be frustrating. But here comes what has me absolutely excited. Ken Norton, our linebackers coach, says Hampton has completely transformed his body during this offseason. We're not talking minor improvements. Norton specifically mentions Hampton has changed his body, improved his speed, increased his strength, and most importantly, now completely dominates the defensive scheme. Do you understand what it means to dominate the defensive scheme? In the NFL, especially as a linebacker, it's not enough to be athletic. You have to process information at lightning speed, recognize formations, anticipate routes, and make decisions in split seconds. The fact that Norton says Hampton now dominates the scheme means he overcame the hardest part of the transition. And here's what really excites me. With a defense desperately needing depth at the linebacker position, Hampton has a golden opportunity to become a key player. Look at our linebacker depth chart. We need bodies, we need talent, and we need players who can contribute immediately. I believe this guy is going to surprise many this season. After a full year of preparation with the knowledge of the system and an improved body, Hampton is positioned to be that pleasant surprise we need on defense. And let me tell you something else. Players who make successful position transitions often end up being more versatile and valuable because they understand the game from multiple perspectives. And Hampton will report to training camp on July 22nd with the rest of the team. And I'm telling you this, keep your eyes on him. This could be the moment where we finally see why the Commanders picked him in the 5th round. But if that surprises you, wait until you hear what Austin Eckler just revealed about his departure from the Chargers. And when I say reveal, I mean our running back is finally telling the whole truth about how Los Angeles treated him during contract negotiations. This is Burgundy and Gold, baby. And what you're about to hear will completely change how you see the business of football. First, let me remind you exactly who Austin Eckler is and why this story is so important. We're talking about a man who built his career from absolutely nothing. Eckler went undrafted in the 2017 draft. Nobody wanted him. He joined the Chargers as an undrafted free agent, basically begging for a chance. And not only did he earn a roster spot, but he also became one of the most dangerous offensive weapons in the NFL. Look at these stats. In 2021 and 2022, Eckler rushed for over 900 yards in consecutive seasons and scored touchdowns in double digits. In 2021, he led the entire NFL with 20 total touchdowns. In 2022, he again led the league with 18 touchdowns. Do you realize how extraordinary it is to lead the league? In touchdowns 2 years in a row. We're talking elite level production. Now, here comes the part that has me absolutely furious with the Chargers. Eckler just opened up his heart in an interview explaining exactly why his departure from the Chargers was so ugly. Listen carefully to this. After leading the league in touchdowns for a second consecutive year, Eckler went to the Chargers management. asking for a contract extension. He had 1 year left on his contract, so the Chargers weren't under immediate pressure to negotiate. And do you know what they told him? They basically told him they didn't want to pay him what he was worth, but they wouldn't trade him for less than a first-round pick. Can you believe the absolute disrespect? A player who had led the league in touchdowns 2 years in a row, who had built his career from being an undrafted rookie, and that's how they treated him. But here's Eckler's exact quote, and this broke my heart. I'm coming off my second year leading the league in touchdowns, and I go to the Chargers and say, hey, let's do an extension. I had 1 year left on my contract, so they didn't have to move. I told them, oh, so you don't want to pay me but want a first-round pick. So I learned a bit about leverage and being in a position to negotiate things like that. For me, I was in a position where I really had no leverage. Did you hear that? I had no leverage. Imagine being the league leader in touchdowns 2 consecutive years and feeling like you have no negotiating power. Eckler himself admits he learned a hard lesson about leverage and negotiating position. The Chargers had him trapped with 1 year left on his contract and basically told him to settle or go. But let me explain why this is so important for us as Commanders fans. Injuries eventually impacted Eckler in 2023, and that played a role in his departure from Los Angeles. But here comes the beautiful part of all this. Now Eckler is with us, and after 700 yards rushing and receiving and 4 touchdowns in just 12 games last season, he's entering his contract year again. But this time is different. This time, Eckler is playing for an organization that values his players. He's playing with Jaden Daniels as quarterback, and we have an offense loaded with weapons. I'm telling you this. With the way Adam Peters is building this team, with the win-now mentality we've adopted, the Commanders will want to keep Eckler happy. And here's what really excites me. Eckler mentions that this time he'll be in a better position to negotiate. He has the experience, he understands the business, and he's playing for an organization that has shown is willing to pay for talent. This time, he has the leverage he didn't have in Los Angeles. Eckler saw fewer carries last season because he's sharing the backfield with Brian Robinson Jr., but that doesn't mean his value has decreased. In fact, one could argue that being in a system where he doesn't have to carry the entire offensive load could extend his career and keep him healthier. And when you thought we were done, here comes what really excites me and what should have all the Commanders fans celebrating in the streets. Brock Purdy, the 49ers quarterback, just made explosive statements about our new star receiver, Deebo Samuel. And let me tell you something, what Purdy is saying should have all Washington fans shaking with excitement. But before we get into Purdy's statements, let me remind you exactly what kind of player we just acquired. Deebo Samuel is not just any receiver. In 81 career games with the 49ers, 73 as a starter, Samuel accrued 334 receptions for 4,792 yards and 22 receiving touchdowns. But here's what makes him unique. He also rushed for 1,143 yards and 20 rushing touchdowns. Do you realize what that means? Samuel is literally the only receiver in NFL history with at least 20 touchdowns, both by air and ground. We're talking about a player who redefined the wide receiver position, and not just in the regular season. In 12 playoff games, Samuel accumulated 926 combined rushing and receiving yards with 3 touchdowns. Now, in an interview on Bussin' with the Boys, Purdy couldn't hide his sadness over losing Samuel. And the way he talks about him tells me everything I need to know about the kind of player we just acquired. Purdy literally says, "It hurts, man. He's my boy, you know. I love Deebo. From day one, he always had my back and believed in me when I got in." But here's the part that really excites me. Purdy vividly describes his uncertain rookie season when he was thrust into the starting role as the last pick of the 2022 draft. At that time, when others were skeptical about his potential, Samuel was one of the few people who supported him unconditionally, a decision that resonated deeply with the 49ers quarterback. I really didn't know how the guys were going to take it when they put me in after Jimmy got hurt. I was the last quarterback, explains Purdy. Deebo was nothing but great to me, building me up and giving me confidence. Do you understand what this means? Samuel has the ability to elevate the quarterbacks around him. He has the ability to build confidence in his teammates. That's leadership. That's what we need in our locker room. But here comes the part that has me most excited. Purdy describes how that strong connection off the field only grew stronger on the field. In games, we fed off each other's energy, building each other up. It was amazing, says the quarterback. We created a great relationship. He's my brother. Now, considering all this, it's obvious that Purdy is sad to see Samuel go. But Iowa's quarterback has made peace with it because he understands that it's just the business side of the NFL. That's how this business works, he admits, before wishing his ex-teammate nothing but success. I hope he goes to Washington and kills it and does great. Anytime you give the ball to Deebo, man, you never know what can happen. But here comes the part that has me most excited and that should have all Washington fans on the edge of their seats. When asked about the criticism Samuel has recently faced over practice clips that appeared online, especially those portraying him as an out-of-shape athlete, Purdy immediately jumped to defend him and issued a clear warning. People see stuff online but don't know they're probably walkthroughs or half-speed drills, says the 49ers quarterback. I know when the season comes, Deebo's going to have a chip on his shoulder this year for sure. But he'll be just fine. Did you hear that? A chip on his shoulder. Let me explain why this is devastating for our opponents. A chip on the shoulder means Samuel is motivated. It means he's hungry. It means he has something to prove. And when you have a player of Deebo Samuel's caliber with something to prove, the results can be absolutely spectacular. But let me delve deeper into why Samuel might have this chip on his shoulder. First, he was traded from the 49ers for just a 5th-round pick. For a player of his caliber, that has to sting. Second, he's been facing criticism about his fitness and weight. Third, he's in a new system with a new quarterback with everything to prove. And here's what really excites me. Samuel is going to be playing alongside Jaden Daniels, a mobile quarterback who can perfectly complement Samuel's unique skill set. Daniels can create plays outside the pocket, he can run himself, and he can find Samuel in spaces where he can do damage both as a receiver and runner. Purdy knows best what Samuel can do when he's motivated, and he's warned in the NFL to be prepared. Anytime you give the ball to Deebo, you never know what can happen. That's the quote that should have all Washington fans excited. But here's where it gets really crazy, and this is what's generating massive debate among fans and what has me absolutely furious. According to analyst Douglas Fritz of Clutch Points, Luke McCaffrey could be used as trade bait to get an edge rusher. And I ask you directly, are they completely insane? First, let me explain exactly who Luke McCaffrey is and why this suggestion is so ridiculous. McCaffrey was drafted in the 3rd round of 2024. 3rd round. That means 32 teams passed on him twice before the Commanders picked him. When we chose him, we all knew he was a project. We all knew he would need time to develop. Fritz argues that McCaffrey only caught 18 passes for 168 yards with no touchdowns in his rookie season, and that with our stronger receiver room this year, we could use McCaffrey to acquire help at more needed positions. He specifically mentions that we desperately need reinforcement at edge rusher. And let me be clear, Fritz is not entirely wrong about our needs. Yes, we need help at edge rusher. Yes, McCaffrey had limited numbers in his rookie season, but what Fritz is completely ignoring is the context and the future potential. First, McCaffrey started only 4 games as a rookie. Only 4. For a receiver drafted in the 3rd round, that's completely normal. Rookie receivers, especially those who aren't first-round picks, traditionally need time to adjust to the NFL level. The leap from college football to the NFL is massive, especially for receivers. Second, McCaffrey was entering a receiver room that already had Terry McLaurin established as WR1. He was competing for targets with seasoned veterans. The fact that he caught 18 passes in his rookie season is not a failure. It's gradual progress. But here's the problem with Fritz's analysis, and I tell you this with total conviction. They're completely ignoring what McCaffrey has shown in this season's practices, and this is what has me most upset with this whole proposal. With Terry McLaurin absent during fall practices due to contract negotiations, and veterans like Michael Gallup and Noah Brown missing time due to injuries, McCaffrey has been in a more central role in off-season practices. And let me tell you something, he has been absolutely dominating. Reports talk about better routes, safer hands, and elevated confidence. McCaffrey has been showing exactly the type of development you expect from a third-round player entering his second year. He's had a full off-season to study the playbook, to develop chemistry with Jaden Daniels, and to perfect his technique. And here's what really bothers me about Fritz's suggestion. He says McCaffrey could bring enough value to help in another position, but it's not like we could trade him for a player who would make a big difference in a high-value position. So why trade him? If Fritz himself admits that McCaffrey can't bring enough value to get an impactful edge rusher, why even suggest a trade? It's completely circular logic. But let me delve deeper into why this suggestion is so ridiculous. This is a third-round player who was always going to be a work in progress. The Commanders knew that when they picked him. Adam Peters knew that. Dan Quinn knew that. And now they're going to give up on him after a completely normal rookie season? Moreover, Fritz even mocks McCaffrey's physique, unfavorably comparing him to Christian McCaffrey and Bijan Robinson. Seriously? Are we comparing a second-year receiver to all-pro running backs? It's a completely irrelevant and frankly insulting comparison. Here's what really excites me about McCaffrey. With our deeper receiver room this year, there's going to be less pressure to produce immediately. He can gradually develop, find his niche in the offense, and become that secret weapon that perfectly complements McLaurin and Samuel. And let me tell you something else. Receivers who show significant improvement between their first and second seasons often have very successful careers. McCaffrey is showing exactly the type of development you expect. He's building confidence, improving his technique, and developing chemistry with Daniels. I believe this suggestion from Fritz is pure speculation without substance, fueled by preseason boredom. It's clickbait designed to generate debate, but it's not based in reality. The Commanders aren't going to give up on a third-round pick after a normal rookie season, especially when that player is showing significant improvement. So there you have it, Commanders fans. 4 news stories ranging from the absolutely exciting to the completely controversial. Hampton finally ready to break out after a complete physical and mental transformation. Eckler revealing the devastating truth about how Los Angeles treated him and positioning himself to gain the respect he deserves in Washington. Purdy warning about a motivated Deebo Samuel with a chip on his shoulder that's going to surprise the entire NFL. And the ridiculous suggestion of trading McCaffrey when he's showing exactly the development we hope for. What do you think about Hampton finally getting his chance to shine on defense after mastering the transition from safety to linebacker? Do you think Eckler will finally get the extension he deserves this time, especially after revealing how the Chargers disrespected him? Are you as excited as I am for a Deebo Samuel with a chip on his shoulder playing alongside Jaden Daniels? And would you really consider trading McCaffrey for an edge rusher when he's showing significant improvement? Let me know your thoughts in the comments because this community is a family and I need to know exactly what you all think about each of these situations. If you're as excited as I am for this upcoming season, give this video a like. If you want to stay updated with all the explosive Commanders news, subscribe to the channel because I guarantee we've got more content tomorrow you won't want to miss. This season is going to be historic and you can't miss it. Join this Burgundy and Gold family we're building here because together we're going to experience every moment of this season that promises to be special. And remember, hail to the Redskins.